Today, we're talking about a new kind of global crisis, one that doesn't unfold over weeks or even days, but in milliseconds. It's a story about a geopolitical flashpoint where the only thing standing between total chaos and some kind of order is it's a digital shield powered by artificial intelligence.
In this quote right here, it just nails the new reality we're living in. It used to be that after some big event, executives would gather in a boardroom to figure out the financial risk. Not anymore. Now, that risk is calculated and acted on by algorithms that see a crisis brewing long before most of us have even seen the headline.
So that brings us to the big question, right? How on earth do you manage a crisis that moves faster than you could even think? When the speed of conflict is measured in microseconds, how can human decisions possibly keep up? Well, the short answer is they can't. And that's where this whole story gets really fascinating.
To really get a handle on this machine speed crisis, we first have to understand just how fragile the whole system really is. The global economy has a bunch of these critical choke points, but there's one that stands head and shoulders above all the others.
And you know what? Calling it the jugular vein is not an exaggeration at all. A full 20%, a fifth of the entire world's petroleum, the very lifeblood of our industries, our cars, our lives, squeezes through this one tiny little waterway. So what happens when that vein gets clogged?
Well, let's play this out. In our scenario, set on March 2nd, 2026, a direct conflict between Iran and Israel does exactly that. And the market's reaction isn't just fast, it's practically instantaneous. This is not your grandfather's market shock. This is something else entirely.
See, this is the engine that drives the chaos. While some human analyst is trying to confirm the news, high-frequency trading bots have already scanned satellite data and news feeds for key words. A phrase like kinetic strike is literally all it takes for them to execute massive orders, causing prices to spike by as much as 13% in a single trading session.
Okay, just look at these numbers. They tell the whole story. On Friday, February 27th, the market is totally calm. Brent crude is sitting at less than $73 a barrel. By Monday morning, after the weekend's events, it shot up almost 8%. But look, the truly mind-boggling number is that one at the bottom, the Hormuz daily flow. And here it is visually, just to really drive the point home. That jump from about $72 to over $78 might not sound like a huge deal, but in the world of global commodities, it is a financial earthquake. We're talking billions of dollars in value shifting in just a matter of hours, all of it driven by algorithm.
But this is the number that really just stops you cold. An 86% drop in the daily oil flow through the Strait of Hormuz. We went from 15 million barrels a day down to less than 2 million. That is not a disruption. That is a catastrophic failure of a critical artery of the entire global economy.
So with a crisis this fast, this overwhelming, what do you even do? Well, corporations are no longer relying on human intuition alone. They're deploying a whole new arsenal, that digital shield we talked about, to protect themselves from the fallout.
And the weapon at the heart of this arsenal? It's something called agentic AI. Now, these aren't just fancy spreadsheets. We're talking about platforms like Palantir Foundry that are designed to act. They don't just show you data. They autonomously analyze it and then execute decisions, everything from financial trades to rerouting entire supply chains, all without waiting for a human to sign off.
Okay, so let's walk through how this actually works with something called automated hedging. In the old days, this would have meant slow meetings, committees, approvals. Forget that. Now the AI detects a military buildup using satellite imagery. It then automatically executes things called call options, which are basically contracts giving it the right to buy oil at a pre-agreed price. And just like that, boom, the company's energy costs are locked in before the prices go through the roof, completely cutting out the human delay.
And believe me, this isn't just about playing the financial markets. The AI is making these incredibly complex logistical calls in real time. For example, it's constantly calculating what's the better move. Reroute our ships all the way around Africa, which adds 14 days to the trip? Or do we risk the strait and pay a war risk insurance premium that's just shot up 400%? The AI calculates the return on investment for both options instantly, and it makes the call.
Now you might be thinking this is just a problem for giant corporations, right? Wrong. Shocks like these don't stay contained. They ripple outwards, and they end up creating what's essentially a tax on the entire global economy. Economists have a name for it, the fear premium.
And that is a perfect way to put it. Think about it. It's not a real tax from a government, but it acts exactly like one. All the uncertainty and fear in the market adds cost to absolutely everything. It slows down investment, it slows down hiring, it slows down growth for all of us, not just the companies directly in the line of fire.
So how does this fear premium actually spread? Well, it happens in a few key ways. First, you get systemic inflation. Higher oil prices mean it costs more to ship things and it costs more to make things like plastics. Second, you get currency volatility. Big oil importers like India or Turkey suddenly see their currencies get weaker. And third, you see these sudden logistics pivots. Think about airlines being forced to slap fuel surcharges on tickets practically overnight just to cover their own costs.
So what does all of this add up to? It points to a massive, fundamental shift in how we have to think about the global economy. This level of machine speed volatility, this isn't a one-off event, this is the new normal.
And this quote right here, it just perfectly captures that new mindset. The old way of simply reacting to events, that's obsolete. It's too slow. When a crisis moves at the speed of an algorithm, the only way you can possibly survive is to see it coming. The goal is actually shifted from profit to foresight.
Which really brings us back to the core idea of this whole explainer. When you are faced with a kind of chaos that is automated, algorithmic, and almost instantaneous, your only defense is to fight data with data. In this new world, it is the only real shield you have. But I want to leave you with one final thought. One big question to chew on. If the machines are now handling foresight at speeds we can't even begin to comprehend, what's our role in all of this? What happens to human experience, to gut feelings, to intuition, when survival itself depends on the cold, hard logic of an algorithm?